If y'all haven't seen Is God Is, you'll have to watch it before this recap. The acting by all the women were chef's kiss, and Sterling K. Brown as a villain had me shook. Racine and Anaia are twins. From a very young age, they were subjected to harsh criticisms because of their looks.
Man, she ugly.
Racine is the tough one, the strong sister who always fights back. Anaia, on the other hand, is the sensitive and emotional one. They take care of each other and stick together after years of being in the foster system. Even as adults, they struggle a lot. Though Racine gets some looks for her burned arm, Anaia is treated more harshly because of her burnt face. And each time Anaia gets judged, Racine snaps and fights back. So holding down a job is a challenge for them, and they've just lost their current job. When they return home, Racine sees a letter from their mother. This is a huge shock to the twins because they have always believed that their mother died in the fire accident. It's quite confusing to them why she suddenly reached out. Anaia is a bit hurt because the letter is only addressed to Racine, but Racine assumes that it's because their mother knows how sensitive and emotional Anaia is. Excited, Racine suggests they make the trip to meet their mom, but Anaia has plans to meet with her boyfriend Ellis the next day. Ellis is an old man who only does Anaia from behind.
I let him get it from behind. If I look at him, I might start catching feelings.
Only from behind is crazy work. To convince her sister, Racine reveals that their mom is dying and it's probably their last chance to see her alive. So Anaia finally agrees, and the twins hop in their old car to make the trip across the country. When they arrive at their destination, Racine exclaims that their mother is their god since she was the one who created them. Inside the house, they finally lay eyes on Ruby, the god. Her face is burnt and covered. She's bedridden and is continuously tended to by her caretakers. Racine immediately reaches out, but Anaia watches quietly.
What happened?
Ruby reveals exactly what happened to her and the girls. Years ago, she was making a meal for the twins when she heard a pounding on the windows. She held on to the knife tightly, but unfortunately dropped it when she saw who barged in. It was her husband, the monster, the man who used to beat her. She filed a restraining order against him, but he came back because he wanted her. Ruby was too scared to move, and the monster sensed her reluctance, so he hit her and dragged her to the bathroom. Then he poured gasoline all over her body. Afterwards, the monster took the twins to the bathroom and set his wife on fire. Ruby the god shares that Anaia's face was badly burnt because she tried so hard to save her mother. Racine was a bit lucky because only her arm got burnt. Now Ruby has one last wish. She wants the twins to kill the monster. She tells them to destroy everything around their father as revenge for what he did. As much as the twins understand where their mother is coming from, they insist that they don't want to kill anyone. I'd be on board to kill Bill himself if Vivica Fox asked me to do this. So, Ruby has her helpers remove the blanket off of her. The twins are shocked when they see how damaged their mother's body is. Ruby says she'll never find peace unless the monster is dead. So Racine changes her mind and swears to kill her own father. On their way to find the monster, the twins get in a heated argument. Anaia doesn't want blood on her hands, but there's no way Racine would back out now. Racine reminds Anaia that their father is the one responsible for how they look like, and Anaia imagines herself getting her back broken with a regular face. This is what convinces her. Racine promises that Anaia only has to accompany her, but she'll do the killing herself. Anaia agrees, and they head to the location their mother gave them. They're going to see Divine, their father's ex, who he got with after he burnt the girls up. Divine acts like some kind of pastor, but for the twins, she looks like she's leading a cult.
You ain't shit, dog! Oh, hell no.
Miss Divine's hair would have me leaving too. Divine accompanied the monster in trial and was there when he was acquitted of the crime. She knew what he did and loved him anyway. She introduces her son, Ezekiel, to the twins. He's their half-brother. Divine has no idea where the monster is currently residing since he left her when she got pregnant. Divine even has an altar for the monster and says the church can be his once he returns.
You've been sitting up waiting on a man who left you pregnant?
Racine snaps at Divine.
Can see that you're septic with anger.
And I can see that he laid that dig right.
Just before they leave, Racine grabs Divine's address book. Inside is Chuck Hall's address. Chuck was their father's lawyer. Then the twins drive away before the average-looking half-brother catches them. When they arrive at the lawyer's office, Racine uses Anaia's sock and puts a huge rock in it as an improvised weapon. However, they are surprised to see a woman beating up the lawyer. It turns out that Chuck always felt like someone would kill him, so he trained himself to handle the pain by paying a woman to beat him up regularly. This is some dominatrix. Now he uses a board to communicate after losing his tongue. When he finds out that the twins are looking for their father, he tells them not to. He insists that the guy is evil and they should forget about him and move on. Racine gets angry, but Anaia stops her from acting on it. However, Racine suddenly hits the lawyer to prove her point. So Chuck finally tells the girls what happened to him. He said that the monster laughed crazily after he was acquitted of the crime. Then suddenly the monster grabbed him and pulled his tongue out so he could no longer perform cunnilingus. Despite this, Racine is still determined to find their father. So the lawyer gives in and hands the monster's new address. On top of that, he reveals that the monster has twin sons with his new wife, and so the twins head on their way. Anaia is worried that Racine is being consumed by rage, but Racine sees the killing as payback time for all the bad things they endured. During one of their stops, a man wearing a helmet harasses them and destroys their car. The stranger chases them with a hammer and tries to kill them. Luckily, they outsmart the man and lock him inside an abandoned building. The girls are shocked to see that it's their own half-brother, Ezekiel. Ezekiel says that he's going to stop the girls from killing their father. Being this protective over a father that didn't want to raise you is crazy. So the twins decide to leave him behind and hop on the first bus they see. They are surprised to see that their father lives in a mansion. Inside are the twins, Riley and Scotch. Scotch is the confident and troublemaker brother, while Riley is the level-headed one. Their beautiful mother is named Angie. Angie has had enough of her husband beating her up, so she finally decides to leave him. But before heading out, she pees in a bottle and uses it to clean her husband's things. Then she says goodbye to her sons, but the boys are unaware she doesn't plan on coming back. Lord, Scotch is so fun. Once again, Racine creates her makeshift weapon using a rock. Before Angie can get far, Angie is stopped by Racine and Anaia. Racine reveals their identities and proceeds to ask for their father's whereabouts. Angie is shocked because she thought the twins were dead. Thinking that they're going to ask for child support, Angie offers them her pearls. Racine gets offended and confronts her. So Angie explains that the monster lied to her about what happened. She insists she wasn't aware that her husband burned his family alive. Racine gets insulted. To her, Angie's explanation is unacceptable when she and Anaia had to suffer as young kids. The argument escalates, and Angie angrily badmouths Ruby. She says it's not her fault that Ruby was too weak to leave her failed marriage. Then she spits on Racine's face. Even Anaia is taken aback and starts to defend her sister. Angie tries to fight back, but soon realizes that she's screwed. Anaia knows that Racine is losing her patience, so she tries stopping her. But Racine chases Angie and bludgeons her to death using her makeshift weapon. Afterward, the twins return to their father's house and meet their brothers. Scotch lets them in after assuming that they are strippers. Riley tries reasoning with him, but Scotch strongly believes that the girls are a birthday gift from their father. Racine and Anaia overhear the conversation and decide to go along with it. Anaia finds it disgusting because the boys are their brothers, but Racine insists they have to buy time until their father returns home. After what happened to Angie, Anaia makes Racine promise not to kill anyone again unless it's their father. So the twin sisters get changed while Scotch calls their friends over. While changing, Racine notices that Anaia's boobs got bigger. It turns out that Anaia is pregnant and that Ellis is the father. Now more than ever, the twins are determined to get the job done so they can return to their normal lives. They proceed to dance in front of the boys. All is well until Scotch orders Anaia to dance with her back towards them. Then she tells Racine to face them because she's pretty. Embarrassed, Anaia walks away while the boys laugh at her. Racine is consumed by anger, but she continues to dance. Then she takes Scotch in the bedroom, while Anaia confides in Riley. To Anaia, Riley is the sane one. Somehow she assumes that, like her, Riley is considered weird and his twin is the normal one. She feels like she's been supporting Racine all this time despite being different from her. Meanwhile, Racine finally rages out. Using her makeshift weapon, she bashes Scott's Adam's apple. No, not the eye candy. When Scotch starts to spit and choke on his own blood, his friends run out of the house as fast as possible. Riley is devastated when he realizes that his twin is dead. Anaia confronts Racine for breaking her promise, but Racine thinks her actions are justified because Scotch called her sister ugly. Knowing that Riley will rat them out, Racine wants to kill him too, but Anaia stops her and lets Riley escape. Racine is hurt because Anaia chose Riley over her. Once the two make it out of the house, Riley grabs Anaia and strangles her. Luckily, Racine arrives on time to save her sister. Riley and Racine beat up each other until Racine no longer has the energy to fight. That's when Anaia stabs Riley in the back with gardening shears. Unfortunately, Racine is no longer responding. Anaia drags her sister's body into the house and under the dining table. Then she waits until the monster arrives. When the monster returns, he calmly walks past his son's dead bodies before preparing a meal for himself. To Anaia's surprise, the monster knows she's in the house. Though frightened, Anaia faces her father. She tries to explain how her brothers died, but the monster is not interested in any explanation. So Anaia shares that she killed Angie first, then Scotch, followed by Riley. The monster remains calm in the midst of all this. Then he denies Anaia's allegations that he burnt her and Racine. The monster explains that Ruby didn't want to be touched that night. He was pissed, as he was just a young man then, so he burned her alive. However, he insists that it was Ruby who dragged the girls to die with her. He even tears up saying he tried to save them. He's a professional gaslighter, literally and figuratively. Anaia then reveals she's pregnant. The monster gets Anaia to put down her walls by pretending he cares about the baby, but he soon turns violent towards her.
If you weren't pregnant, I'd cut your eyes out and make you eat them.
The monster orders Anaia to go home so they won't have to kill each other, but Anaia refuses to back down. Just then, Racine attacks the monster. The twins fight their father together, but the monster is just too strong for both of them. They all know it's a fight to the death. Using their makeshift weapon, the twins eventually defeat their father. Then, they put him in the bathtub to burn him alive. Racine apologizes to her sister for everything that happened, and Anaia smiles back at her. Unfortunately, the monster pulls Racine back, so she too is burned to death. Anaia knows that she's on her own now. Though devastated, she leaves everything behind and returns back home. She's always going to miss her twin sister, but she somehow finds comfort knowing that she's going to have a baby soon and they'll both live in peace. This has been my favorite movie so far this year. It hasn't gotten the same attention as movies like Obsession, but I think this smaller film deserves to be seen. Check it out on Amazon Prime. What did you guys think of this one?
Did y'all like that one? Honey, well, make sure you like and leave us a comment. I try to respond to as many as I can. And if you like 2-bit, Lifetime, or just straight up trifling movies, make sure you subscribe for real. For more videos, you can click here or here.